Have you ever stopped to think that every time you speak, you're actually issuing a command to the universe? That the sound leaving your mouth isn't just communication, but creation? What if I told you your voice carries the same vibrational principle that, according to ancient traditions and even quantum physics, was used by God to bring existence into being? You're not merely talking, you're coding reality. The word, the LOGOS, is the universe's source code, and it vibrates within you. Today, you're going to learn how to use your voice as a true instrument of quantum and spiritual power. But pay attention, this isn't something to hear and forget. It's meant to be lived, felt, applied. And if this message is already stirring something inside you, comment below, "I speak as one who creates." This simple statement is your key into a new vibration. Jacobo Grinberg wasn't a typical scientist. While most limited themselves to studying the brain as a biological machine, he dove deep into the mysteries of consciousness. And what he discovered challenges everything we've been taught about reality. Grinberg devoted his life to investigating how the mind shapes the world around us, and his neuronal field theory reveals a striking truth. What you perceive as reality is, in fact, a projection of your mental structures. Inspired by both spiritual traditions and scientific rigor, Grinberg showed that consciousness isn't confined to the brain. It operates within an interconnected field linking all living beings. His research indicates that the human mind can influence physical events at a distance, something modern science is only now beginning to acknowledge through quantum physics and studies on brain coherence. Within this field, the human voice becomes an instrument of vibrational encoding. It isn't just sound, it's a frequency that shapes patterns in the invisible fabric of the universe. Grinberg understood that words charged with intention don't merely express ideas, they create realities. And when aligned with emotion and presence, those words become direct commands to the matrix that sustains all that exists. You were taught to speak as a describer. Since childhood, you were told words are for reporting facts, expressing feelings, or communicating ideas. But what no one told you, what was lost in schools, religions, and even traditional science, is that the word doesn't describe reality. It defines it. Everyday language deceives us by seeming harmless, saying, "I'm tired, I can't, life is hard," sounds like venting, but in truth, these are commands issued to a vibrational field that obeys exactly what you declare. Words aren't random sounds, they are frequencies, and frequencies organize matter. When the Bible says, "In the beginning was the Word," it isn't poetry, it's physics. The Word, or Logos, is the organizing principle of creation. Everything that exists vibrates, and vibration gives form, and sound is vibration in motion. Modern science, especially quantum physics, already understands that matter isn't solid. According to Max Planck, matter is energy whose vibration has been slowed down enough to be perceived by the senses. This means physical reality is a condensed illusion of frequency, and your voice is the most powerful modulator of that frequency. When you speak, the sound you emit carries more than words. It carries intention, emotion, energy, and direction. Every sentence leaving your mouth is like a code traveling through the quantum field and interacting with it. Life, then, doesn't respond to what you wish for in the silence of thought, but to what you declare with emotion and conviction. But here's a crucial detail. The universe doesn't understand sarcasm, doubt, or incoherence. It responds to your dominant frequency, not to surface-level desire. So when you say, "I'm a failure," even as a joke, you're tuning your field to resonate with failure, and life obeys. This is why people who constantly complain stay trapped in the same cycles. It's not bad luck, it's vibrational physics. Day after day, they repeat a set of frequencies that shapes the same limiting reality. On the other hand, When someone understands that the word is a creative tool, they start choosing with precision what they say. Every sentence becomes a seed, every word a conscious frequency. Speaking stops being emotional discharge and becomes reality engineering. Here's the great secret. You are never just speaking, you are building. And if you speak as a creator, then every word leaving your mouth stops being mere sound and becomes an act of manifestation. Speaking is easy. Creating with the word is not. Because for the word to activate its maximum power of manifestation, three elements must be perfectly aligned: emotion, intention, and vibration. Together, these three factors form what we can call the quantum engineering of the word, an invisible yet incredibly powerful structure that determines how reality organizes around you. Let's start with emotion. In physics, energy without direction is chaos. Emotion is energy in motion, but if it isn't channeled clearly, it disperses as noise. Emotion is the fuel of the creative word. Without it, words become shallow, hollow, lacking the vibrational impact to alter the field. When you say something without feeling, it's like sending a weak signal. But when you speak with real, deep emotion, the universe listens. The second pillar is intention. Intention is the code that directs energy. It's the mind pointing to the destination emotion will travel. There's no use feeling gratitude or power if, when you speak, your mind is flooded with doubt, ambiguity, or fear. Intention must be clean, decided, focused. It gives form to vibration, organizes the frequency of sound, and tells the universe, "This is what I am building." Lastly, vibration. This is the subtlest field and paradoxically the most concrete, because vibration is the energetic signature of your speech. Everything vibrates, and when you speak, you emit sound waves that affect the field around you. More than that, those waves carry the encoding of your inner state. If you're misaligned, your vibration will be incoherent. If you're clear, it will be precise like a laser. These three elements together, emotion, intention, and vibration, create what physics calls coherent resonance. It's when everything in you is in harmony, what you think, feel, and say. When this coherence is reached, your word doesn't ask, it commands. And the universal field, like an advanced technology, responds immediately to the dominant frequency. That's why many people make affirmations and see no results. They say, "I am prosperous but feel afraid." The mind asserts but the body denies. In that clash, the stronger vibration wins, almost always fear. It's not enough to repeat words. You must embody the truth you pronounce. Jacobo Grinberg called this vibrational congruence. When the inner field is aligned, the outer reality reorganizes. And this isn't a metaphor. It's the engineering of consciousness applied to life. Remember, it isn't the volume of your voice that shapes the world. It's the alignment between what you feel, think, and speak. When this triad aligns, the word stops being discourse and becomes decree. Grinberg didn't seek answers only in books or laboratories. He looked inside the human mind as if investigating a hidden universe, and what he found was more revolutionary than any conventional scientific theory. Consciousness is an interconnected field, and reality is shaped by how we interact with that field. This field, which he called the neuronal field, isn't confined within the brain. It's expansive, dynamic, and acts as an invisible lattice connecting all minds, all beings, and all events. The mind, according to Grinberg, doesn't observe the world, it generates it. And the main tool we use to interact with this field is our voice. Contrary to what many think, the voice isn't just sound vibrating in the air. It's a command that penetrates directly into this neuronal field and, by extension, into the quantum field of reality. This means that every time you say something with conviction, you're not merely describing, You're instructing the field to organize matter according to your frequency. Through experiments on brain synchronization, Grinberg showed that two people in elevated states of emotional coherence could synchronize their brain waves even when physically apart. This is the principle of non-locality, a phenomenon also studied in quantum physics, where two particles can influence each other at a distance. And what happens when the spoken word enters this system? Your voice, when aligned with coherent emotion and clear intention, acts as an emitting frequency that travels through this network of interconnection. In other words, the entire universe becomes capable of picking up your vibration and reorganizing by resonance the patterns around you. This is where science and spirituality meet. When the ancients said the word became flesh, they were describing precisely this process. The word, when spoken consciously, descends from the mental plane and materializes in the physical plane. Grinberg goes further, asserting that the reality you live is the direct result of the content you maintain in your mental field. This means your voice doesn't just serve as a tool of expression, but as an instrument of reality programming. The neuronal field, therefore, is sensitive to sound, emotion, and intention. And the more coherent those elements are, the stronger the response you receive from reality. Speaking becomes creating, declaring becomes defining, and your life is nothing more than a mirror of what you have been repeatedly emitting to the field. The voice is the thread connecting the invisible to the visible. And every word you speak is a pulse of energy capable of reconfiguring the universe in the image of your inner world. If the word is the code, emotion is the energy that powers that code. Here lies one of the greatest secrets of conscious creation. The universe doesn't respond only to what you say, but to the emotional frequency with which you say it. This means it isn't the sentence that holds the power, it's the vibration carrying it. Imagine the affirmation, "I am abundant." If it's spoken with doubt, with fear, with the feeling of "this isn't true," the field doesn't recognize the sentence. It recognizes the dominant emotional signal, and if that signal is scarcity, that's what gets amplified. That's why so many people affirm, repeat mantras, visualize, and remain in the same place. Their words are out of tune with their vibration. Emotional coherence is the state in which what you feel, think, and say are in harmony. At that point, your speech stops being noise and becomes command. Neuroscience calls this state physiological coherence, and it can be measured. The HeartMath Institute, for example, has shown that when a human being enters this state, in which heart rhythm, brain waves, and breath are synchronized, the entire body functions as a single circuit of communication with the surrounding field. Emotion isn't a mistake, it isn't an obstacle, it's the fuel of creation. But like any fuel, if not directed wisely, it becomes dangerous. Anger, fear, shame, when repressed or projected unconsciously, produce noise in the field. But when acknowledged and transmuted, they become strength, presence, intensity. That's why emotion must be educated, not silenced. You need to know what you're feeling, where you feel it in the body, and how to use it in favor of what you want to create. Feelings of love, gratitude, trust, enthusiasm, when paired with speech, create coherent, powerful waves and generate responses in the field much faster. This doesn't mean ignoring dense emotions. On the contrary, negative emotions are merely misinterpreted energy. Sadness can be depth, anger can be focus, fear can be alertness. It all depends on how you channel it. True emotional mastery isn't control, it's direction. The living voice, the one that transforms the world, is fueled by living emotion. Emotion felt with awareness, converted into presence, and placed in service of intention. When you speak with that kind of energy, the field listens, because there's no doubt there, no hesitation, only congruence, And where there is congruence, there is creation. Emotion is the tone behind the sound, the invisible color of your word. The purer it is, the stronger your ability to turn thoughts into matter, desire into form, intention into reality. Speaking with power isn't speaking loudly. It isn't using complex words or sounding convinced. Speaking with power is when the universe recognizes your vibration as truth. It's when what you say carries such coherence that the field around you bows to obey. But how do you reach this level of transformative speech? How do you align mind, emotion, and voice so that every word you utter becomes a creative act? The answer lies in inner integration. Everything begins in the mind. Thought is the architect of speech. You can only declare with clarity what you understand with precision. So the first step is clarity of intention. What do you want to build with your word? What reality are you willing to sustain with your frequency? Without clarity, speech becomes ambiguous and reality answers with confusion. Then comes emotion. Here we're talking about vital energy, the deep feeling that sustains your speech. When you're emotionally connected to what you say, the sound of your voice carries an unmistakable energetic density. There's no hesitation. There is presence, vibrational truth. This emotion doesn't need to be explosive, but it must be genuine. Finally, the voice. The voice is the electrical conductor between your inner world and the outer world. It translates thought and emotion into waves that touch the quantum field. But pay attention, the voice doesn't start in your throat. It's born from your state of being. If you're misaligned, the sound comes out empty, without impact. But when you're in integrity with what you think and feel, your voice gains weight, texture, command. Speaking with power is the result of absolute internal coherence. It's when your mind says yes, your heart feels yes, and your voice declares yes. There is no conflict, no resistance. And the field, sensitive to the strongest frequency, reacts instantly. In practice, this requires a new level of presence. Before saying something important, breathe, feel. Ask yourself, does what I'm about to say come from truth or from fear? From creation or from reaction? This pause is the turning point between speaking impulsively and speaking with command. The art of powerful speech also involves listening. Listening to yourself as you speak, noticing whether your words are laced with doubt, irony, or incoherence. And if they are, stop, recalibrate, realign. That isn't weakness, it's mastery. When you speak with this level of awareness, something in the environment changes. People listen differently. The air seems to vibrate. You feel it in your body, because in that moment your voice isn't asking, it's declaring. And when that happens, creation begins immediately. You're not here to use words as decoration. You're here to use them as instruments of reality. True creation doesn't end when you speak. Speaking is only the beginning of a cycle that must be completed. If you want your words to have an effect in the real world, you need to understand and live the 4 phases of the cycle of conscious manifestation: command, trust, receiving, and embodiment. The first phase is command. It's when you speak with clarity, coherence, and intention. In this moment, you're not asking. You're declaring a new reality with the authority of someone who knows who they are. The word goes out with direction, presence, and vibrational alignment. It isn't a stray sentence in the air. It's a coded signal to the field that upholds all creation. But after the word is spoken, the mind wants to control. That's where the second phase comes in: trust. The command must be followed by deep surrender. It isn't passivity. It's a kind of silent certainty. It's when you plant a seed and know it will sprout, even if you see nothing at the surface. When you trust, you don't interfere. You hold the space with peace, not anxiety. The third phase is receiving. Here lies another secret. Many people speak and trust, but don't know how to receive. Receiving isn't waiting for everything to come exactly as you imagined. It's having the sensitivity to notice the doors that open, the signs that appear, the opportunities in disguise. It's leaving control and entering active perception. The universe delivers, but rarely in the way you expect. If you're blinded by mental rigidity, you'll miss it. Then comes the fourth phase, often ignored, embodiment. What you declared, what you trusted, what you received must now be lived, embodied. It's when you act, position yourself, choose, and behave as someone who already is what you declared. This is the phase of the word made flesh. The word becomes gesture, presence, routine, identity. This is where the magic becomes permanent. These four phases form a cycle, and this cycle must be repeated, sustained, strengthened. Doing it once isn't enough. Reality is malleable, but it demands vibrational persistence. The field responds to consistent signals, not to fleeting emotional impulses. Most people get stuck in the first stage. They speak, affirm, ask, but they don't trust. They don't perceive what they're receiving, and above all, they don't embody the new identity. That's why change doesn't hold. You are a vibrational transmitter, but you are also a grounding channel. The word leaves you, but the new reality must pass through you. It's your body, your voice, your behavior that will consolidate in the physical world what was decreed in the invisible field. Command, trust, receiving, embodiment. This is the cycle of conscious creation. When you understand it, you no longer need to convince reality. You become reality. You didn't get here by chance. Something in you already knew your voice had power, but perhaps you didn't yet have the right keys to activate it. Now that you understand the role of the word as frequency, emotion as fuel, and the field as a response system, it's time to leave theory and enter practice. From today on, speak with awareness, speak with clarity, speak as one who creates, because that's what you're doing, creating reality with every word, every sentence, every vibration you emit. Choose a powerful declaration charged with truth and repeat it coherently every day. Feel it, visualize it, treat your speech as the emission of a command, and more importantly, embody this new vibration. Walk as someone who already is. Breathe as someone who has already received. Act as someone who already commands. The universe doesn't respond to your request, it responds to your frequency. If this message touched you, subscribe to the channel now. Here you'll receive content that awakens, frees, and realigns your consciousness with your true power. And if you felt this call, share this video with someone who also needs to remember who they are. And leave this in the comments. I command with my voice, and reality obeys me. Let's create a collective field of elevated frequency together. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more voice with soul.